The ceiling has no answers, but I keep asking it the same. Who am I beneath the doing, beneath the face, beneath the name? The dark is very patient, it just sits there wide and deep, holding all the questions that I swallow in my sleep. But sleep has gone somewhere without me, left me here with all of this. The particular cruelty of 3 a.m. is how precise it is. It asks, are you who you wanted to be? It asks, did you love the right things? It asks, what are you so afraid of? What is underneath everything? And I have no answer, only the dark and the hour and me. 3 a.m. doesn't want my composure, it wants the thing I don't let myself see. I think about the years, the way they go without permission, how the person that I was at 20 made so many quiet decisions that added up to this room, this ceiling, this particular ache, this version of myself at 3 a.m. Wondering what I'm still awake for, wondering what is at stake. And it's not sadness, not exactly, not despair, not quite that word. It's something older, something under, something that has not been heard. It's the question behind the question, the door behind the door. Not what am I doing with my life, but what is a life even for? It asks, are you who you wanted to be? It asks, did you love the right things? It asks, what are you so afraid of? What is underneath everything? And I have no answer, only the dark and the hour and me. 3 a.m. doesn't want my composure, it wants the thing I don't let myself see. I think about the people asleep in all the houses I can't see. Each one with their own ceiling, each one with their own 3 a.m. and me. And maybe this is all it is, maybe this is just the tax we pay for being conscious, being mortal, being here and then one day not here, not here. The thought arrives without its coat on, stands there barefoot on the floor. Not here, not here. And I don't know if that terrifies me, or if I've just stopped keeping score. By morning I will fold this up, tuck it somewhere out of sight, make my coffee, check my phone, re-enter the ordinary light. And no one at the table will know I came apart a little in the night. No one needs to know that I sat with the infinite, and neither one of us blinked first. Neither one of us blinked first. Maybe the point isn't the answer, maybe the point is to sit with the ask. Maybe 3 a.m. is not the enemy, maybe it's just finally taking off the mask. And I ask, am I who I wanted to be? And I ask, did I love the right things? And I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, but I felt them, I felt all of it, I felt everything. And maybe that is enough, maybe that is the whole thing. To have been here, to have burned, to have asked. The dark begins to soften, just barely, just a hint. The ceiling slowly grays, and 3 a.m. retreats, and I am still here, which is either meaningless or the whole point. I have not decided yet. I have not decided yet, but I am still here. You're on the east side of the city, sitting by a window I have never seen. A cup of something cooling on the sill. The street below you quiet, almost clean. Maybe you've been crying, maybe not. Maybe something woke you, maybe grief. Maybe you're just one of those who wakes at 4 and lies there bargaining with sleep. And I am on the west side of it all, watching how the street lights hold the dark, wrapped inside a blanket on the floor, listening to the city come apart. Not falling apart, just coming loose, the way it does when no one's watching it. When all the noise is gone to bed and only we are left awake in it. And neither one of us knows, neither one of us knows that somewhere on the other side of all these sleeping streets, someone else is holding 4 a.m. Someone else is keeping watch with me. Neither one of us knows, but we are not alone. Two people in the same dark city, each one on their own. Maybe you made tea, maybe I did too. Maybe we both stood at the window, not knowing what to do. Maybe we both whispered something to nobody, to the night. Maybe we both needed witnessing, and neither one was in the other side. There's a kind of grief in cities that belongs to no one and to all, the kind that pools in the hours before the morning makes its call. And we are in it separately, two flames the other cannot see. You keeping yourself company, and me, and neither one of us knows, neither one of us knows that somewhere on the other side of all these sleeping streets, someone else is holding 4 a.m. Someone else is keeping watch with me. Neither one of us knows, but we are not alone. Two people in the same dark city, each one on their own. By morning you'll have drifted off or dressed and stepped into the day, and I'll have found my way back to myself, and we will never know we kept each other's company this way. We will never know. But the city held us both tonight in its big indifferent arms. awake and almost okay, and breathing the same air. The door is closing in reverse, slowly without sound. The latch lifts back into its place before it was ever found. The key unhooks from waiting fingers, the hand withdraws from the frame, and whoever stood there on the threshold has not yet come, did not arrive. The afternoon is folding back into what it was before. Before the knock, before the handle turned, before I opened up the door. Time is moving backwards through an ordinary day, and everything is gentle in the way it comes undone. The tea is growing warmer in the cup, the light is unhurrying across the floor, and I am standing in the middle of it all, watching everything I loved become unlost once more. Become unlost once more. The laughter is retreating now, back into the mouth that made it, back behind the moment just before the joy arrived and said it. The faces unrelax and know each other, the room untills with warmth, and there we are again before we were two people at the start. Your tea is lifting heat back to itself, the steam is going home, the cup is filling up with all the warmth it hadn't yet let go. Time is moving backwards through an ordinary day, and everything is gentle in the way it comes undone. The tea is growing warmer in the cup, the light is unhurrying across the floor, and I am standing in the middle of it all, watching everything I loved become unlost once more. Become unlost once more. I think this is what grief does when it gets very quiet. It runs the afternoon back slowly, just to feel you in it. Not to change it, not to beg the ending, not to come, just to sit inside the middle part, before the middle part was done. To hear the laughter before it retreats, to feel the warmth before it leaves the cup, to stand inside the ordinary magic of an afternoon that hadn't given up. The light is moving eastward now, back to where the morning left it. The shadows are retracing all their steps, as if they never meant it. The tea is almost hot again, the way it was before we touched it, before the afternoon knew what it was, before we knew enough to love it. And somewhere just behind this moment, we are only just arriving. We have not yet said the things we'll say, we are only just beginning. If I could hold the backwards motion still right here, right in this place, Before the afternoon became a memory, before I had to let it unknow my face. Time is moving backwards through an ordinary day, and I am greedy for each second coming loose. The tears almost burning now the way it was at first. The laughter is still whole inside the room, and I'm standing in the middle of it all, knowing forward has to come, knowing I will lose. But God, the way it felt to be inside an afternoon with you, just an ordinary afternoon with you. The door is shut and now the right way, the real way, the latch falls into place. The warmth begins, it's leaving, the tea cools, the laughter fades, the light moves on, the afternoon is done. And I am standing where you left me, holding something ordinary that turned out to be everything, that turned out to be everything. Everything. Rain always turns the city blue, not bright blue, more like bruises under skin, more like old photographs left out too long. I sit beside the window when it starts, knees pulled up against my chest, watching headlights smear across the glass, like somebody trying not to cry in public. And I don't know why, but it feels honest to me. The whole sky finally unable to hold itself together. I've been carrying grief so long, it feels folded into my body now, like another organ, like something keeping me alive and hurting me at the same time. So let the rain make everything blue, let it soak through the walls and the windows, 'cause some things only heal after they fall apart a little. And I'm scared one day all the sadness inside me will finally burst through my ribs like water through cracked ceiling paint. But the rain keeps coming softly, like it's trying to teach me there are gentler ways to break open. Some nights the storm lasts for hours, and I stay there long after midnight, watching drops gather at the edge of the glass before letting go. I think about everyone I've lost, every version of myself I couldn't keep, all the words that sat too long in my throat until they turned heavy. The room gets cold, but I don't move, because for a little while the weather outside looks exactly like the weather in me. Maybe grief was never meant to stay hidden forever. Maybe even the sky needs somewhere to empty itself. So let the rain make everything blue, let it blur the city into watercolor, because some things only heal when you finally stop resisting them. And maybe I won't burst from this, maybe the ache just needed movement. Maybe all this sorrow inside me was asking to become something softer. The rain keeps touching the window like a hand saying, you don't have to carry this alone. I spent so many years trying to be unbreakable, holding everything quietly, like silence was the same thing as strength. But even rivers flood eventually, Even clouds give in. Even the sky understands there is no healing without release. So let the rain make everything blue. Let it wash over all the rooms inside me, the ones I've kept locked for years. And if I break, let it happen gently, like thunder fading farther away, like windows trembling in the dark before becoming still again. Because maybe healing doesn't look like sunlight. Maybe sometimes it sounds like rain against glass, while somebody lonely finally lets themselves feel everything. The storm outside is getting quieter now, and somehow so am I. I rest my forehead against the window, watching the last drop slide down the glass, thinking maybe the sky wasn't grieving tonight. Maybe it was healing too. I spent my whole life waiting for things. Waiting for graduation. Waiting to leave home. Waiting to become somebody I could finally recognize. Then it was waiting for money. Waiting for love that stayed. Waiting for the version of myself that would stop feeling so unfinished. And every time I reached something, the hope just moved again, like a streetlight further down the highway, never close enough to stand beneath. I keep treating my life like it's happening somewhere later, while the people I love are getting older in real time. Hope is foolish, but it's all I have. A little moving target I keep following into the distance. And I wish I knew how to stay inside a moment without reaching past it for another one that might never come. Because tomorrow keeps changing shape on me, and I don't even know if I'll make it there. Still, every morning I wake up hoping again. Sometimes I'll be laughing with my friends, and part of me is already gone. Thinking about next year, thinking about who we'll become, thinking about losing this. I ruined beautiful things early, trying to protect myself from missing them later. Even happiness feels temporary now, like I'm borrowing it from somebody else, and they'll ask for it back soon. I wanna learn how to sit still inside joy without turning it into grief before it's even over. I've spent so much time dreaming about the future. I forgot the future was made out of ordinary days like these. Hope is foolish, but it's all I have. Some fragile little flame I keep protecting with both hands. And I wish I knew how to love my life while it's happening, instead of always waiting for permission from tomorrow. Because maybe this was the moment all along. Maybe this quiet evening was the life I kept asking for. Nobody tells you how quickly everything becomes memory. One day you're young without noticing. One day your favorite people are tired. One day you look around and the light life you were waiting to start is already halfway over, and suddenly hope feels less like ambition and more like prayer. Hope is foolish, maybe it always was, but it gets me out of bed, it keeps my heart facing forward even when I'm afraid. And maybe I don't need to solve my whole life tonight. Maybe it's enough to sit here while the window's open, while the people I love are still alive, while the music plays softly from another room. Maybe happiness was never something waiting ahead of me. Maybe it was always passing through my hands, asking me to notice. Tomorrow keeps moving farther away, so tonight I'm trying something different. I'm staying here for as long as the moment will let me. I came back in late November. The air still smelled like rain on concrete, and for a second, standing outside the station, I thought the city might remember me too. I walked the street where we used to stay out late, buying cheap coffee, talking like our lives were just beginning. But the bookstore's gone now. There's a bank where the diner used to be, and the man who sold cigarettes at the corner shop probably forgot my face years ago. Everything looked cleaner somehow, less alive to me. And I knew people would move on, I knew buildings don't grieve, but standing there felt strange, like opening a photo album and realizing the place inside, it doesn't exist anymore. The city does not remember I lived here once, does not remember who I was on these streets. The windows changed, the names changed, even the silence sounds different now. And I kept looking for pieces of myself in places that already replaced me, like the years we gave a city mean nothing once we leave. There used to be a little record store on 5th where I spent entire afternoons pretending not to be lonely. I walked there yesterday without thinking, like muscle memory. But somebody painted over everything, the old red sign, the scratched front door, even the bench outside where we kissed one winter with frozen hands. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at strangers eating lunch, where my entire 20s used to live. Nobody tells you how heartbreaking it is to outlive a version of a place. I thought memory meant permanence. I thought if I loved something enough, it would wait for me. But cities keep moving, people keep changing, and somewhere along the way you become a ghost in your own life. Maybe that's the real grief of leaving. Not that the place disappeared, but that it learned how to live without you. The city does not remember, but I still do. Does not remember, but I still do. Does not remember. I remember late buses, street lights through apartment blinds, the sound of my friends laughing downstairs before we all became home. supposed to keep us forever. Maybe they just carry us until we become somebody else. Still, I walk those streets until midnight, hoping for one impossible thing: to feel at home in a place that already said goodbye to me years ago. Does not remember. The hardest part wasn't leaving, it was coming back and realizing you've been homesick for something that no longer exists. I have been to this place before. I know the way the hallway bends. I know which floorboard sighs beneath my feet. I know where the staircase ends. The light comes through a window I could not describe to anyone awake. Warm in a way that has no season, still in a way that daylight cannot make. I don't know the address, I don't know the town or street or name, but every time I close my eyes and find it, everything inside me says, I'm home, I'm home. There is a house that doesn't exist, but I have lived there all my life. In the margins of my sleeping, in the quiet behind my eyes, every room is somehow known to me. Every door, every stair, every wall, a place that no one built that holds me most of all. There is a house that doesn't exist, and it is home. There's a garden I have walked through, in a dozen different dreams, different flowers, different weather, but the same impossible green. There's a chair beside a fireplace I have sat in more than anywhere I've lived, and a window looking out on something. I wake up before I see. I wake up before I see. There is a house that doesn't exist, but I have lived there all my life. In the margins of my sleeping, in the quiet behind my eyes, every room is somehow known to me. Every door, every stair, every wall, a place that no one built that holds me most of all. There is a house that doesn't exist, and it is home. Maybe it's a place I lived before I had the words for living. Maybe it's the home I'm moving toward, and my sleeping soul keeps visiting. Maybe it belongs to no one, maybe it belongs to all of us who wake, reaching for a feeling we can't name, that vanishes like breath across a lake. Or maybe I built it stone by stone in some forgotten part of me, a shelter I constructed from the pieces of every place I ever wanted to be. I've tried to draw the floor plan, but the pencil never gets it right. The proportions shift, the rooms expand. It obeys a different logic than the light. It is bigger on the inside than any house has any right to be. And every version of myself I've ever been fits inside it. Fits inside it perfectly. There is a house that doesn't exist, but I have lived there all my life. More than anywhere, with walls and doors. More than anywhere, with locks and light. Every room receives me as I am. Every silence says you're safe, you're known, you're found. A place that was never on any map. That is the truest home I've ever found. There is a house that doesn't exist, and I keep going back, and I keep going back. And every time it feels like I never left at all. Somewhere between sleeping and waking, there is a door, and I know the sound it makes. I know the sound it makes when it closes. It sounds like coming home, coming home, coming home. Mama folded sweaters on my childhood bed, same hands that braided hair, signed permission slips, cut apples into little moons before school. The house was quiet in a way I'd never heard before. Even the clock sounded careful, like it knew something was ending. She kept asking if I packed enough socks, if I still had my charger. Little questions standing in the place of all the bigger ones. And her eyes looked heavy that morning, like somebody who hadn't slept, or maybe somebody trying not to cry yet. I think she knew before I did that goodbye wasn't the hard part. It was what came after, when the house stayed clean, when nobody called her name from another room, when noon arrived and nobody needed anything. And the hug felt longer than usual, like her hands were memorizing me, like if she held on hard enough, the years might slow down. I felt her breathe against my shoulder, like she was trying not to break. And suddenly I saw it all at once, 20 years of being needed every minute. And now she was standing in the doorway, watching the last little piece of her life drive away. Drive away. Drive away. I used to think my mother was just my mother, like she existed that way naturally, like she never had a first name or dreams that belonged only to her. But that morning, she looked smaller somehow, standing beside all those cardboard boxes in the pale kitchen light. And I realized her whole life had been stitched together by small, invisible things. Rides home after practice, half-eaten dinners, waiting awake for footsteps upstairs, knowing exactly how everyone liked their coffee. Love made out of repetition. And what happens to someone when the repetition suddenly ends? I think grief can look ordinary sometimes, like a woman washing one plate instead of four, like silence sitting at the table where noise used to live. Maybe that's why her hug scared me, because it didn't feel like goodbye. It felt like, please don't make me learn who I am without all of you. And I wanted to tell her, Mama, you were a person before us too. I just didn't know how yet. And the hug felt longer than usual, like neither of us wanted to move. Two people standing in a doorway, trying to outlast time for one more minute. And when I looked back from the car, she was still standing there, arms folded against the morning cold. The same woman who spent 20 years holding everybody together, now learning how to hold herself. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. Sometimes the loneliest sound in the world is a home after the last child leaves it. I turned 30 in a grocery store line, holding flowers I forgot to buy for myself. And everybody else looked so certain, like they knew where they were going after this. I used to think by now I'd be someone crushing dreams that my 10-year-old self manifested in her mind. A doctor, a writer, a girl that knows the meaning of her life. Instead of this tired girl driving home with cold coffee in the seat beside her. And every year went by so fast, like somebody leaning on the gas. Most nights I take the long way home, just to have somewhere to go. The highway lights blur into one, and I keep checking the rear view mirror, like maybe I left myself back there somewhere. The future's not a garden of roses, it's just roads I don't know yet. And I keep looking backward, trying to find the girl who still believed life would hold her gently. Now the car keeps moving, even when I want it to stop. And all I do is chase old versions of home through the rearview mirror, through the rearview mirror. I miss when my biggest fear was missing somebody's birthday party, when my mother still sounded young downstairs, when winter mornings meant cartoons and socks on hardwood floors. Back then the world felt smaller in a comforting way. Now everybody's moving somewhere, buying houses, having babies, learning how to belong to themselves. And I still feel 16 sometimes, standing in my bedroom mirror, trying to become someone worth staying for. Maybe growing up was never becoming important. Maybe it was just learning how to carry all your unfinished selves. Maybe nobody feels at home all the way. Maybe everybody's pretending the ache doesn't follow them into every new city, every new year, every silent drive at night. And maybe I was never falling behind. Maybe I was just becoming, slowly, painfully human. The future's not a garden of roses, but maybe it was never supposed to be. Maybe it's just learning how to sit beside yourself kindly. And maybe the girl in the rearview mirror doesn't need me to go back for her anymore. Maybe she just wanted to know we survived it. So I keep driving with both hands finally on the wheel, letting the old days fade softly behind me. And for the first time in a long time, the road ahead doesn't look so bleak. I'm still becoming, and maybe that's enough for now. There's a candle burning low beside the bed, wax running down the glass and quiet little rivers, and the room still smells like tears somehow. Warm salt and smoke and something almost peaceful. I cried harder than I meant to tonight, hard enough to make my chest feel hollow, hard enough that afterward even silence sounded tired. Now everything is still again, except the flame moving when I breathe. I think sadness leaves the body slowly, not all at once, more like winter leaving the ground, one soft inch at a time. And the candle keeps burning down, like it understands something I don't, how to disappear slowly without fighting it. The room is blue, the kind of blue that comes after crying, when your heartbeat finally stops running and your thoughts sit down beside you. And for the first time all day, I almost feel okay. There are tissues scattered on the floorboards, a glass of water I forgot to drink, my reflection faint against the window, looking softer now somehow. I spent so long holding everything inside, trying to survive it quietly, like if nobody heard me breaking, then maybe I wasn't really broken. But grief is way to it, eventually your arms give out. And maybe that's what tonight was, just my body asking to stop carrying so much at once. The flame gets smaller every minute, but it's still here, still warm, still trying. And the candle keeps burning down, filling the room with golden shadow. And somehow the ache inside me doesn't feel quite as endless now. Maybe healing isn't dramatic, maybe it's just this, a quiet room, a tired heart, a face still wet with tears, finally unclenching in the dark. For one small moment, I almost feel okay. Nobody talks about this part, the strange peace after devastation, the way your body goes soft after carrying sorrow for too long, like crying emptied something out of me and left behind enough space for a little bit of light to enter. Not joy exactly, just relief, just breathing without fighting it. And the candle's almost finished now, small flame trembling near the bottom, but it stayed beside me through the breaking, through the shaking, through the loneliness of being alive sometimes. And maybe that's enough for tonight. Maybe healing begins exactly here, in the quiet after the storm inside you, when the tears stop asking for anything, and the room finally lets you rest. And for the first time in a long time, I think I might be okay. The wax has hardened on the glass. The room is dark again, and somehow softer than before.